Have you ever talked on the phone with someone for hours, or sat in a dining hall or a coffee shop and had lunch with a friend to catch up about life, or even just talked to a professor about classwork? These are all examples of interpersonal communication. So, what really is interpersonal communication? According to communicationtheory.org, it takes place when two people are at the same place and aware of each other's presence, no matter how unintentional or unpremeditated it is. In plain sight, interpersonal communication happens all the time, talking to a friend, talking to a parent, or even as little as talking to the bus driver, taking you from point A to point B. But with interpersonal communication comes some negative aspects, as does everything with life. There is a term within interpersonal communication called the dark side. I know that when I first heard this term, my brain went straight to Star Wars and the battle between the Jedis and the dark side. I think that this is a really great terminology for this concept because it really is a battle between kind of the good and the bad within communication. To better explain this term, according to Chapter 14 of the MILNE Library, it states that the dark side of interpersonal communication refers to communication that results in negative outcomes. Some types of communication that are considered to be on the dark side are verbal aggression, deception, psychological abuse, bullying, and infidelity. There are obviously a lot of negatives that were just stated about interpersonal communication and the dark side that is attached to it, so let's kind of break it down and focus on the important parts of understanding the concept. A lot of negatives, stated above, fall under the dark side of interpersonal communication, but to focus more in on the concept, there is a term within the dark side of communication called secret testing. And this really just means that there is a lot of uncertainty about forming relationships with other people, and the secret testing is basically a way to strategize certain individuals that you come in contact with. There are 7 tests total, and they all come back to the idea that we as people have to pretty much judge the character of others based on our own character judgment. Going off of the word judgment, there is another concept of the dark side that sticks out when gaining information about the topic. This is called relational aggression. According to Chapter 14 of the MILNE Library, it states that relational aggression is defined as behaviors that harm others. Relational aggression involves both indirect and direct behaviors with interactions between two individuals, such as confrontation, name-calling, or even teasing. This term ties into the dark side of communication because relational aggression is really a smaller form of bullying without really emphasizing the phrase bullying. One more important concept of the dark side of communication to grasp is that bullying that we talked briefly about above. Bullying can be a bigger part of the dark side of communication, as most people know what bullying is. To define it, bullying, according to the Chapter 14 of the MILNE Library, is a form of aggressive behavior in which a person of greater power attempts to inflict harm or discomfort on others. Bullying comes in many ways, shapes, and forms, but overall, we know that bullies use their power to create some form of fear over others. There are different ways that bullying occurs, such as physical abuse, cyberbullying, relational bullying, and verbal bullying. This is a big part of the dark side of interpersonal communication because it targets those that are weaker and communicates that they are kind of the underdogs, so to speak. Overall, be mindful how you are communicating with others and consider that not everyone may know that there is a dark side of communication. Now that you know, educate yourself and others.